Hello, welcome back. Right, I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you like the intro I made. Because I'm doing something slightly different. I'm doing a music movie review. I thought I'd make a quirky little intro. I hope you liked it. And before I get going, I know I look a little bit scruffy. Right, I do know I look like an Ewok from Star Wars. But I thought I'm going to try and grow a beard. I've only ever grown one once before in my life. That was years ago when I actually had brown beard. It's grey, isn't it? By Christmas, I'm going to like Father Christmas. So bear with me, guys. Normally, I can't get to a full beard and get so itchy I end up shaving it off. Right. A couple of videos back when I done a vinyl first play of Madness is Absolutely, one of my subscribers, Adrian Baker, commented and he wrote this. Hi Stripey, thanks for the review. Probably my favourite Madness album. A review from you of the fantastic Take It or Leave It film would be nice. Cheers. Well, Take It or Leave It, wow. Now, this is going right back 41 years now. I was first aware of it back in 1981, the movie, when Madness released their third LP, Madness 7, this album. And on the inner sleeve, it had this. Some artwork from the Take It or Leave It movie. Now, obviously, it wasn't widely distributed, so I didn't get to see it until probably 82, 83 on VHS. I think they was both released October 81. Now, I haven't watched Take It or Leave It for years, probably about 20 years. I do have the 2002 DVD release of the film. This was actually brought to me by a friend and fellow YouTuber, Alice Plays Reactions. I'm sure you've heard me mention him a few times before. Cheers, pal. So I've got that. But for this review, I thought I'd buy the 2020 Salvo Sound and Vision CD and DVD, digitally restored digipack of the film. It also has a 24-page booklet. The soundtrack has all the songs featured on the film, and the DVD has an audio commentary by Chrissy Boy and Dave Robinson, the director. And I thought, I'll sit back, relax, and refresh my memory and review the film of the Nutty Boys' humble beginnings. Oh, what fun I had. That was marvellous. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Right, before I get on to reviewing the film, let's get the technical stuff out of the way first. Right, it was directed and produced by Stiff Records owner Dave Robinson on a measly budget of 400 grand. Now, Stiff put up 250 grand and Madness put the rest together. Dave Robinson directed all the Madness music videos, well, the early ones anyway. It was written by Philip McDonald, Dave Robinson and Madness themselves, and it was distributed by Nutty Stiff Productions. Now, the film only took a week to shoot, and they had their problems. They definitely had their problems. The first 2 days of shooting, it went to the lab, and the guy overcooked it, and it was overexposed, so they couldn't use it, so they had to redo the shoot again. So on a week, you know what I mean? They only had a week to do it. And also Dave Robinson, the director of the film, he broke his ankle jumping off a bit of scaffolding down one of the tube stations they was filming at. It was a great experience though. Right, it's not technically brilliant. I mean, it was 4.3, you know, it wasn't widescreen and it was only in 2-channel stereo. But the soundtrack drives this movie. It really, really does. There is a couple of other artists on the soundtrack. There's Fats Domino, I'm Walking, and Reach Out, I'll Be There by the Four Tops. Other than that, the whole thing is madness. And there's some great tracks on here. So many good memories. And it's an autobiographical account, really, of how a local pub band called the Invaders rose to fame, really, and to become Madness, the household name that we all know and love. Many times throughout the film, people leave, there's loads of arguments, some of them couldn't play properly, and then people would come back and they'd get substitute drummers in and all of that. It's chaotic, really. How they actually managed it is beyond me. It's part drama, part documentary, part musical, and definitely part comedy. The film is hilarious in parts. Lee Tomo is nuts. He's an absolute nutcase. It opens up with them all driving in taxis to Don't Quote Me on That, which is on the Madness EP, Night Boat to Cairo. It was called Work, Rest and Play over here. And they're all driving, and I'm thinking they're going to the American tour because they're all at the airport, and then it goes back to black and white. Well, kind of green tinge to it, and it's Tomo walking around Camden, going past the record shop and having a little look in, and he's putting all these records that he likes to look of all in one little area, and then he goes to Barzo's house. He's obviously not allowed in for whatever reason. So he whistles him, and Barzo comes out, and they go down to this record shop and start nicking some LPs. Yeah, early days of Madness. You see, I think it started off with Chrissy Boy, Lee, and Mike Barson as the band to start with. They were the originals. And then you see Chrissy Boy down a Dole office bumping into an old friend called John Hasler, who was the original bed and breakfast man. And he joins the band as well. And right at the beginning, there's a great scene with Mike walking down Houston Station with a skinhead pal, and they find do you remember the old strip lights, the aluminum strip lights that everyone had in their kitchen years ago? Well, they find a couple of these, and they're plugged in. So they start swinging around like lightsabers. It's bloody brilliant, actually. It looks great. To the soundtrack of On the Beat Pete. And funny enough, the old Bill chase them out of Houston Station. But great scene. Really sets up the tone. The film's chaotic. It's all over the place, but it kind of works. It just works. Then he goes to the Invaders' first ever gig, which was in June of 1977. And I don't know who the singer was. They're playing in a back garden. I mean, how bad is that? It was in a June, so I suppose it weren't too cold. But they're all in a back garden. And this singer could not sing Jailhouse Rock to save his life. It sounded awful. But the music, you can sort of hear it in the background. Then Suggs joins the band. He turns up and has a little go in their little area, studio where they used to rehearse. And he does a version of See You Later, Alligator. And you can hear that Madness sound starting. It needed Suggs. It needed him. 100%. Then Bedders joins the band. But by then, Suggs is obviously not turning up to gigs. So John Hasler, the bed and breakfast man, he has a go at singing. And he has a go at singing Mistakes. He don't do a bad job, but it isn't that Madness sound that we all know and love. But, not bad. I mean, he tries out on the drums at the beginning, but he weren't too good at that. He's obviously tried out on the singing. He weren't too good at that. So I think he ends up becoming their manager for a little while. While that's going on, you see Suggs and Lee Thompson, who had walked out on the band, because Barzo is definitely the strongest member of the band, and he comes off as a little bit aggressive at times. He don't want to put up, but I can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to put a band together, and he's quite serious about it, Mike. But you see Suggs and Lee doing some plastering, and all I can say is, I love Suggs and Lee, but I wouldn't have them do plastering around my house. It was bloody awful, and they obviously get sacked. So they go back. Lee goes back to the band, and they've got a dodgy drummer on at the time, and he can't get it right. And Barso keeps saying to him, "Can you get it right?" And they're doing this tune. He keeps getting it wrong. Lee Tomo just drops his sacks and dives for him. Bloody hilarious he was. Yeah, I forgot a lot of it. You know, I hadn't seen it for a long, long time. So that drummer walks out, and Beddoes says, you know, I know someone. So Woody joins the band. He turns up at rehearsal. He's got a big old drum kit, and literally goes into rocking in A flat. Dun, 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 dun. I love rocking in A flat. It's on the One Step Beyond album, and Sug jumps in and they're singing it, and you can hear it. You can hear it with Beddoes on the bass. You can just hear that sound coming on. I mean, Chas Smash tries the bass at first, but I think he tries Mike Barson's Patience a whole lot more. Now, like I said, John Hasler now manages the group, and he gets them a famous gig at Aklam Hall, November 1978. That's nuts. Madness are on. Well, they turn up and they're in the bar, but on the way in, they bump into some skinheads outside, and there's a little few words back and forth. Well, anyway, while they're at the bar, these skinheads pile in, and there's a few words going on between them all. The Madness go on to the stage, and while they're playing Swan Lake, you got Chaz, and I think it's Chalky and Tox. They were friends of Madness. Two of them, Chaz and this one of them, I don't know which one it was, are doing the nutty dance. So they're doing the old, you know what Madness do, but they're headbutting each other as well. It's quite something. And after that, they're in the toilets, and all them skinheads from the bar earlier were in there, and a fight breaks out in the bathroom, and you see Madness running out of Aklam Hall, and they jump in the vans to try and get away, but one of them needed pushing. Hilarious. After that, you see Madness running all around London, tube stations, eating chips, drinking beer, and it's the first time you ever see the train. You know the famous train that Madness always do, where they're one behind the other. Barzo's always at the front, obviously. And I tell you, give me goosebumps. And they do that to the track. Madness, madness, they call it madness. It was terrific. It was absolutely terrific. And then you see them in a pub, at the Dublin Castle pub, actually, and they're convincing the bar people, about letting us do a gig down here. And the woman behind the bar's going, what sort of music do you play? Oh, yeah, jazz and all that lot. But they convince them they've got their own followers, because Madness started building up a little bit of a following by then. So they say, okay, you can come down here next Friday. Well, that Friday, they already had a gig with the Specials. We didn't know that. So Madness, by then, are all there. All of them are in. They're all playing solid, and they do Night Boat to Cairo. They're all in their fezzes, and the crowd are going wild. So they do a brilliant set, but they've obviously got to get to the Dublin Castle, because John Hasler's there trying to keep everyone calm. They're going to be on in a little while. And Madness ain't even there. And they finish their set because obviously they're not the main act. The Specials are the main act. But as they've finished, they're trying to get out, and there's this big burly, it looks like something out of a porno film he does. Big moustache, big muscly bloke with tattoos. And he wouldn't let them leave. But Chrissy Boy obviously sorts it out, and they end up getting there late to the Dublin Castle. And by then, the place is mobbed. And Chaz gets up, the band are all set up, and he does One Step Beyond, hey, you, don't watch that. And the place go absolutely wild. So obviously they've got their sound now, they've got their following, Madness are on their way. Now, before they quite make it, they've obviously got to do a recording. And this is called Pathway Recording Studios, right? And by then, I think Woody is sick and tired of getting in the back of this little van with a Morris Minor. I think it's a Mocky Minor. I think it is. He's sick and tired of getting in the back, so he's got himself a motorbike. Problem is, he drives off up front and goes and gets himself lost. So they're in the studio waiting for him. They can't do anything without the drummer. So they cut their losses and don't do any recording. Next time they see him on his motorbike, they drag him off and tie him up and put him in the back. Get him down to the studios, and you can they do the Prince, or you can hear the Prince coming on, you know, and it's terrific. It's the Early Madness song, you know, it's their first single, the Prince, on two-tone. And after that little bit, you see them waiting outside a sold-out concert, as madness how they are, you know. And the energy, you can feel the energy and the excitement of the band. It's an absolutely joyous little film to watch, and I loved it. Now, if the soundtrack actually was released at the time of the film, which I don't know why it wasn't really, I didn't find out why that happened. This would have been prior to, that would have been late 81, so it would have been the album before the 1982 smash hits album, Complete Madness, you know, the greatest hits that had House of Fun on it. Yeah, so I don't know why it was shelved, but anyway. Now, my review of the film is, it's not as polished as A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. Of course it isn't. It was done on a fraction of the budget, and it was done in a week. So what do you expect? But it's gritty, grimy, and so much fun to watch. I highly recommend it. If you're a Madness fan, you should definitely watch this. And if you're not a Madness fan, you still should watch it. Now, my wife didn't even know I had this, let alone this new version. Although they're about the same. There's not a lot of difference in the quality, to be honest with you. This is actually on YouTube. I will link it down below. The film is on YouTube. Don't know how they've got away with that, but it's on YouTube. And the wife hasn't even seen it yet, so we are going to watch it together. I watched it on my own, but we are going to watch it together. But over the weekend, me and the wife watched the 3-part documentary to Before We Were We. You know, the Madness book that I've read, brilliant book. And it's great. I'll link part 1 down below, because it's on YouTube, on BT, I think it was. I highly recommend it. We both loved it thoroughly, and they use a lot of clips from Take It or Leave It in that 3-part documentary. Highly, highly worth watching. Also, if you get an opportunity, the 2009 film concert, Julian Temple's The Libyan All in Falgate. I don't know where you'd find that. You'd have to source it yourself, but it's out there somewhere. Highly worth watching. And finally, if you're into this whole two-tone madness, early day stuff, you can't go wrong. You've got to watch Dance Craze, which features Madness, as well as the Special, Selector, Bad Manners, The Beat, all of them bands. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. Cheers, Adrian. It was unusual doing a film review, you know, but I did really enjoy it. Technically, it's not pretty to look at, but as soon as you get into the film, like from when it goes black and white to the old days, all the way through, I mean, Tomo driving a van, the top come, check it out. I'll link it down below, but it's well worth a watch. Right, before I sign off, guys, I will be reviewing Madness's Rise and Fall real soon, so keep an eye out for that. And until then, I'll be back with another ramble real soon. Take care, people.